Alright, hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we kept working on the Hytbold plugin and finished the portion that lets you record what the outfit of the hour is. Today we're going to keep going. We're going to start by committing our changes from last week and then get started on the map, maybe. As always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions, whether they're about plugins specifically or just LOTRO in general. It's all good. In the meantime, let's see. All right, switching over to the desktop. So, as a very quick reminder, the Rebuilding Hytbold is something that is triggered when you get to level 84. It is a part of Eastern Rohan, and is a way for the 4 main regions of Rohan to get together and work together on a central thing. It's neat, and as one of the quests that you can do as a part of the Aiding the Eastimnet, which helps you with Rebuilding Hytbold, you can come and play a silly little game of dress up in Harwick. This game annoys me because it feels like it should be very simple, but because of some of the natures of the quest, it feels like I spend 10 or 15 minutes on it when it should be like a 2-minute deal. And that's where plugins can help, I think. So, first of all, what is the dress-up model? The dress-up model has 6 pieces: a head, a shoulders, a chest, hands, legs, and feet. And the goal is to go find those specific items from 3 different outfits, Winter and Balladeer and Regal, and go find the specific parts from throughout crates in Harwick, and then come back and present yourself to the dress-up model. You can do it all at once. You can do one piece at a time. Either one is fine. But of course, the efficient route is to run through town once, get just the pieces you need, come back and be done with it. So, once upon a time, I thought this quest worked differently than it does. And so I made a little helper. This was Dress Up Helper. And the way it worked was you just told... once upon a time, I thought the contents of the chests were fixed. So this chest always contains the helm of the Balladeer. So I thought, if you can just select what the dress-up model is... Here, let's get a little closer here. Now, this was flawed reasoning, as we'll discuss. But I thought, if you could just come on in and say, okay, that's helm of the Winter, shoulders of the Regal, that's a chest of the breastplate of the Regal, the hands are Winter, the pants are Regal, and the feet are, well, they look like Regal as well. Okay, so I thought that meant these specific 6 locations in Harwick held what you need. But through later testing, it turns out the crate contents do not seem fixed. They might be fixed for an hour, but when the model changes, at the very least, the contents of the chest seem to also change. Maybe they're always random when you go to pick them up. Not sure. So, this was a really neat way to play around with some HTML and some JavaScript and play around with it, because as you're selecting the different things, boots of the Winter, boots of the Regal, boots of the Balladeer, it's going through and changing the location that is both shown on the map and also just the waypoint commands in case you want to just navigate straight there. So that was lovely, but fundamentally flawed. So, number 2, which was, okay, can't do it that way, but what if we can say we have picked up the thing and then hide the other dots, because every chest is definitely a type. It's a breastplate or a helm or shoulders or whatever. You just don't know which of the 3 models it is. So if you pick up the correct helmet, let's say in this case, okay, helm of the Winter, shoulders of the Regal, breastplate of the Regal, gloves of Winter, pants, leggings of the Regal, and boots of the Regal. Lots of Regal. So if I go through and I say, oh cool, I've picked up the helm of Winter, I should be able to remove those dots. Okay, I got the shoulders, remove those dots. So as you go, the remaining dots that apply to that piece that you have gotten, that should be eliminated. And in a plugin, we should be able to tell that you got the thing, because you have an effect on you that says you got the thing. So we should be able to hide those dots automatically. And the one thing that we can't do is when you pick something, well, no, hang on. We can tell when you picked up the wrong thing. So we should also be able to eliminate the dot that you just picked up. Oh, but we don't know where you are. Okay, so we can tell when you got the wrong thing. So it might be something where we can like highlight those specific dots and say which one did you just do, and you just click on that and okay, it's gone. Or just leave it completely manual. Like you click on the dot, it disappears. And then when you get the right one, I want all the dots of that type, well, the 3 dots of that type to disappear. So that as you're going, oh, I picked up the leggings, I picked up the shoes. As you're going, you're limiting which dots you have to visit. So you go pick up a crate, it's either the right one, you've eliminated 3 dots, it's the wrong one, you've eliminated 1 dot. So you'd only have to do 18 crates if you got them all completely in the wrong order, but eventually you're going to start picking things up on the first or the second dot, and you'll really limit it down. You just do 1 loop around town, and it's no slower than the hobby horse. Probably a lot faster than the hobby horse. Arthur says, yet again, a where am I API call would be so convenient. It absolutely would. Now, a where am I API call would also allow automation of maybe a lot of things that they would prefer not be automated, so I get it. But we'll work around that. I like the idea of highlighting the dots specific to the type that you just picked up, so that you can say, nope, that's this is the one where I was at. Like you can at least eliminate that. So we're going to be incorporating this map, and while we were on stream last time, we finished the carousel in the plugin. So let's go ahead and load up Hytbold Assistant and open up the Quest browser. And what I went ahead and did was I went ahead and loaded in the images for each one of the types from the images I had put on the wiki. Some of them need to be redone. I really just need to make a human that looks like this model so I can go ahead and take fresh pictures of all of these. And it was running into a lot of vertical space usage, and so what I did was I put the gloves next to the chest, and it's okay. Ideally, I'd kind of have 2 gloves, one on each side, and then when you click the arrow on one of them, the other one would shift in the other in that direction. But I don't think I'm going to worry about that. So, and I also centered these things vertically because I think it looks better when instead of just all being left justified. So we can do the selection of what we have in the plugin now, and that's awesome. So next up, I want to work on the map and kind of hooking up the pieces of, oh, I said I want the winter, so how does that affect the plugin behavior? Okay. These colors in the background are really just there for layout purposes, and I don't know that I feel like I'm done with them yet. I might be done with them. But for me, it's just so useful in laying out bits and pieces on a 3D background like this to just be able to visually identify what everything is and where its bounds are. So maybe I'll keep it for right now. Just definitely this is a prototype, but eventually we won't have these different colored backgrounds. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about a map. And it's times like this that I really wish I had taken the map stuff I had done for the Festival Buddy and just made it into a little library that could be shared between the 2 of these. But we'll just do a little copy paste for now, and that will inform the creation of that library. So let me go ahead and find where I put that. All right, that's plugins, cube plugins, oops. Festival Buddy 2, and Maze Map Win. All right. So what I would like to do is kind of revamp this in the form of a library that we can start using as a as just a callable component of, oh, I want to display a map, I want it to be able to react to the /loc command, all of this stuff. The way to react to /loc, I feel like itself should be its own library. There might actually be a library out there for that. The same code just keeps getting written over and over for foul map and for RT plugin, and more map I'm sure has one. All of these different ones need the exact same code for decoding where you are. And every once in a while, when they change how the /loc command works, they all break, and all of them need to be fixed, which makes me sad. Okay, so we have a map. What we'd like to do is separate out the idea of a map that can respond to LOC and touching and whatnot. We want to separate that out from the window in which it is displayed, because I would like that map to show up in this control has a blue background. We're going to start simple. We'll probably lift some features or be inspired by features in RT plugin /foul map, which is really great for either doing roving threats or being a chicken. Why not both? So we'll start simple. We'll start with what we had for the maze map and see what we can use from that. So we're going to go ahead and use this as a reference point over here on the left. And we're going to pull up Visual Studio Code over here on the right. This is a free tool you can download. And once you add in the Lua extension, and especially the LOTRO API extension by community member Lunarwater, then you start getting a lot easier writing of the Lua plugins. It's not mandatory, of course. You can do this all in Notepad if you want, or maybe something a little bit better like Sublime Text, Notepad++, that kind of thing. But Visual Studio Code is a free tool, and it has a lot of nice features. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to... Let's see. We really want to refactor things like drop down, like tooltip, like vendor patch into a libraries folder. What did I call it in Festival 2? Libraries. Nice. Yoink. Oh, add callback also. Not used there. Okay. Alert, yes. Drag bar. Not used. Drop down, tooltip, and vendor patch. All good things to hoist out, but we'll start small. New folder, libraries. Oh, before I get started, let's make sure we have a clean working directory. That's going to make it a lot easier to undo things if we get into trouble. We don't have a clean working directory, but what we can do is we can go ahead and say added images for each type and each outfit. So that's the 3 chest, 3 feet, 3 hands, 3 legs, 3 shoulder, and we already had the 3 head. All right, committed that. Images. This is, again, updating that. Probably should have been a part of that last commit. Okay, the quest window. I was playing around with something. I don't think it's a contractual thing, but the turbine.engine.getGameTime is the number of seconds since this server was spun up, and in this case, that's just over 2 years. Because Treebeard has just celebrated its 2nd anniversary. Yay! Go Roots! Or something. I'd like to think that if Treebeard had a high school, that their mascot would be the Roots. Okay, don't need that. What are these changes? What are you doing here? Okay. Pamela likes the sound of the roots. We were playing a board game the other day, which is thematically based on breeding pepper or chilies, and it's called Scoville. And it's set in the fictional town of Scoville with the local high school team. Go Flames! Or I think it was Flames. Yeah, because of the heat of chilies. I think it's stuck in my head. Okay, so we had some information. Okay, these were image and text combos, and we've gone ahead and kind of made that work. Instead of just a one-off for the helm, we've gone ahead and made made helper functions to create the carousel for all of those. Okay, so all of those look like reasonable things. Let's go ahead and summarize that. Extended UI to show all 6 pieces. Cool. And then the image carousel control itself got a lot of changes as well last time. One could try to kind of pick apart individual changes or conceptual changes, but I think at this point, so much is under development, so much is rapidly changing that we're just going to say made it better or something like that. And just in terms of order, that one we'll make that one come first. So just can we quickly summarize it in our head? Oh, we've got a lot of background colors here. That's fine. We'll sort that out. Yeah, really added functionality to the carousel. Made image carousel control work. That's probably all one word. For one visible image. Now this conceptually could work with showing more than one at a time, and you can still flip through them and back, but we haven't written that code. So right now, it assumes that you only want to see one image at a time, and you're flipping back and forth between the one visible image. We'll need to revisit how to expand that out someday. Okay, and there are the changes to Quest 1. Now, there's debug stuff in here that we don't want to ship with, making the hello mediocre bard. Wait, welcome. Hello soapy banana. So we've got debug code in here that we just committed to the repository, and that's fine. This is a very kind of experimental branch. Just adding this window at all is kind of an experiment. And so before this ships, we'll need to go back in and remove that blue color and the green color and the yellow color. But I don't think it's worth kind of tripping over ourselves to be like, oh, we can't commit that one line. It's fine. We've got a long way to go before this goes anywhere. So, okay, so we have our model for dress up. Let's talk map. And we're going to go ahead and, nope. Okay, so this is the map that we want. And we want to be able to do a couple of things. We want the map to respond to /LOC. We've seen how to do that in Festival Buddy, and so we're going to pull in that same code that has that idea. So we want to be able to see that. We want to be able to show the locations of these chests by saying, here is the coordinates in-game. For instance, 39.9 south, 52.8 west. We want to be able to say that in our code and get a dot in the right location. And we need to do that for all 18 of these dots. And we want those dots to be clickable. We want the user to be able to interact with these dots. So let's start making a to-do list. Okay. More detailed map design notes. Okay, so 1. Show the Hytbold, Harwick map. 2. Show the 18 crates on the map. 3. The 18 crates should be clickable. When you click it, hide it. Okay, 4. Really like 1.5. Respond to /LOC to know where we are. Okay, 0. Make this all in a library class control so we can stop duplicating this effort. Okay, so doing it in the library, show the map, respond to /LOC are things I want to definitely get done today. If we can, we'll keep moving on to the rest of it. Show the 18 crates on the map, and if you click on a crate, it disappears. Okay. Once the map is done to this point, start paying attention to the costume effects. When we have the wrong one, change the color of the associated crates for easy clicking. Once one is clicked, restore the color of the other crates. When we have the right one, hide all of the associated crates. So you get the right shoulder, hide all the shoulders. You get the wrong shoulder, highlight the remaining shoulder boxes so the where you are can be easily clicked. That's really kind of it, because once you have all of those features in place, you're either eliminate all the boxes or you manually eliminate that one, you do the loop, you're done. Okay, so like super easy, right? All right, so let's focus on 0 and 1. Get the Harwick map showing in our window. So we're going to be using this map here. Probably. It's a 800 by 600 pixel map, more than enough. We might actually shrink it down a bit for being in our control. So let's go ahead and copy that image. It's a JPEG. Let me save that image. Yeah. Oops. Save the image. That's going into Documents, Lord of the Rings Online, Plugins. We're still working in Galahad plugins at the moment, and that's going into Hytbold and Resources. We'll put that into Quest as well, and Dress Up, and oh nuts. We can't do that because we need it to be a TGA. LOTRO might actually be able to do a JPEG as well, but TGA is sort of the more correct or native format. So we'll just go ahead and do that quick conversion. The GNU image manipulation program can do that for us. So pasted it in, and we're going to go ahead and export it as. And we're in Documents, Lord of the Rings Online, Plugins, Galahad plugins, going into Hytbold, and Resources, Quests, Dress Up, and there we go. So, whoops. I'll type it in the right place. What is going on here? Okay, apparently hit the wrong shortcut key. Okay, so that is Harwick map. Done. Error says, hello before. Is it possible to create a clickable button linked to a keybind that would force all plugin buttons to the top screen layer? So, it is possible, but irregular for different plugins to affect each other. So I think I'm going to assume that you mean all of the plugin buttons from one plugin first of all. Aaron Barton had a minor panic walking on stage for a concert and had songbook on one layer, invisible, and poetical on another. Yeah, that sounds very annoying. So first of all, I would say even before we talk about what you asked, most plugins offer some sort of keyboard shortcut. And I highly recommend if you're working with a real-time application like Songbook, like Lyrical, make a little post-it note that, oh, I can type /SB space show, for instance. I don't know if that's actually it, but it might be. Here, let's come on over to LOTRO interface, Songbook. Cool. Just as an example. And cool. So Songbook, the core Songbook, if you have the BB Songbook BB, it might be slightly different. Probably has the same commands. So this would be the kind of thing where if I was regularly performing and I wasn't confident of remembering it, I would just write this down on a little sticky and slap it on the monitor. I can type /songbook space show. Then regardless of whether I can find the button on the screen, I know worst case I can type that and the window will show up. Awesome. And then I would go over to Lyrical. And say, oh, cool. Lyrical has a very similar thing. I would do / Lyrical space show. Learn Zach jokes / Rebuild Hytbold. It is actually just /Hytbold. Oh, poetical. Let's see if they have stated that. Cool. And we can see in the English client, it reacts to /poetical space show. And it looks like in French and German it recognizes ansichen and affeker, maybe, for those as well. So that's really nice. They've localized their chat commands. Lord Zach, I don't know if you are astonished or appreciative with your, oh god, people who localize the commands, but I think it's a nice touch, especially for something that is so word-oriented, where you want people to just be able to freely express themselves. I think that's a nice touch. For me, my commands are often just, you type the command and it just toggles whether the window is there or not. So for me, if I was writing this, it would just be /poetical, and that makes it show, /poetical, and it makes it hide. But you can see they wanted to afford more than just show and hide. Lord Zach says, I'm good as long as I each work in all languages. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Like, are they only registering one set of them based on that? I don't know. Let's find out. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. And we're going to come on in, and this is just a zip file. People can either upload zip files or the other one, which I don't use very often, so the extension escapes me. 7-zip, maybe? Okay. So Symbo Poetical. So what we're looking for is commands or something. Let's take a look at the main file first of all. So, command. Okay, poetical command equals blah. Okay. Args. Okay. Bad news for you, Lord Zach. Looks like they're indexing into the strings to determine whether the strings for the command show. Let's take a look at that. Strings, localization. Okay, so we're looking for command show. Yeah, so it looks like only one of them. Gerther has kindly provided some pronunciations for those words I probably butchered. I will leave it for anyone who's interested to look those up. I try to stick mostly to butchering Dutch words and English words, but okay. Yeah, so Lord Zach, sorry, it looks like they do a lookup into their localization strings table for command show to know which ones to respond to, which is not how I would have chosen to do it, I think. I think I would have just said, any of these are valid for this command. Yeah, I think so. I could have been tricked into doing this, but I think, like, yeah, it's not as nice of a thing, because if you're in English and you have switched over to the French client, it'd be nice if either of them worked for you, or vice versa. Okay, so that's a fun little exploration where you can just kind of dig into the source. One of the things I love about plugins in general, LOTRO plugins are a part of this, is that Lua code is pretty readable, and if you're looking for something like that command, you can search for certain keywords that will really help you narrow it down very quickly. So in Poetical, as we saw, if you're in the English client, you'll do /poetical show. In the French client, you'll do this one, and in the German client, you'll do that one. And those are mutually exclusive commands. So Aaron Bard, if it were me, first of all, I would have a little post-it note on my monitor or on my desk somewhere that just reminds me that worst case scenario, I can type /poetical space show, and I don't need to worry about finding that icon. Just like with this Hytbold, if the window is closed, actually there is no icon for Hytbold yet. So I can type /Hytbold, I just have to remember how to spell Hytbold, and I can get that window back. And that's true for a lot of plugins. A few of them don't advertise it as nicely as I would like. Some of those that don't list it on the LOTRO interface page might list it when you load the plugin, when you first log in. Or when you close the plugin. Festival Buddy did that for a while, where when you close the window, it might still do this. It says, hey, you close the window, type /FB to open it again, or whatever the command is. So just anytime you close the window, it says that. Which, if you open and close and open and close and open and close the window, it gets kind of annoying. It's like, I get it. Just tell me once. But maybe don't close the window. So that would be the first thing. Second thing, is it possible for a plugin to react to a keyboard command? Plugins receive keyboard commands. Plugins are told anytime a key mapping is pressed. So if you have a key bound to one of these key mappings in the options panel, a plugin can see that you pressed the thing. However, most of these, and there are a few hidden secret ones that we can talk about, but most of these, let's say my plugin knows that I hit the turn right key. For me, that is E on my keyboard because I'm using a Dvorak keyboard. So I press E, I turn right, or I press A and I turn left. Cool. But usually you don't want to trigger a plugin to do something based off of I've turned right. Yeah. So it's difficult for a plugin to kind of piggyback onto a thing. However, if you are a person who never uses the keyboard shortcuts for the bottom right side for your bags, like I press I to open my bags, and the rest of these bag keys, or even this one, you can have keyboard shortcuts to these, I believe. But if you never use them for their intended purpose, then you could have a schema where your plugin says, cool, don't bind those to your bags. Use an all bag, use a one bag, whatever. And then these specific key bindings are used to trigger things in your plugin. That is something that you can do. Let's see, what are those? Here's all the quick shots and quick slots. Oh yeah, here it is. So bag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So control 1 is in use right now, but control 2, control 3, control 4, control 5, control 6, all of those are telling my plugin, if I'm listening, hey, bag 2 is activated. But Lord Zach says, Azerty? No, Dvorak. Here, I'll pull that up. All right, that's my keyboard layout. So, sure, that looks right. I don't know. I don't have keycaps on my keyboard, so I don't actually know what my keyboard looks like. That's what my keyboard looks like. So I couldn't actually tell you what keys are where. I just know. Is Little Red in Dvorak? No, Little Red has not decided to make the transition from Dvorak to QWERTY. I don't blame her. I did it when I was in college and I had a lot of free time to be really bad at typing for a few months. So I can do QWERTY a little bit. Like I can sit down at her keyboard, or if I need to switch this one to QWERTY, I can do that. But 99% of the time I'm in Dvorak, and on both my personal and work computers, I use a keyboard that looks like this. So I don't actually, like I couldn't tell you just by looking at a keyboard, oh, that's whatever. I have to try to type something and then I know where the keys are, which is kind of inconvenient, but it's fine. But yeah, so that's what it is in person. That's what the keycaps are. So for Dvorak, tangent to the tangent that we're on, the Dvorak keyboard puts all the vowels, and this is targeted towards American English speakers, so your mileage will vary with other languages. But it puts all the vowels on the left-hand home row, all the common consonants on the right-hand home row, and tries to emphasize alternating between right hand and left hand as much as possible. And so you'll find the average distance that your fingers need to travel to type common words in the English language is less, sometimes a lot less than on a corresponding QWERTY keyboard. That's all. Lorenz X says, I'll have to send you a video. It's super funny. Awesome. Yeah. If you send it via Twitch messaging, I'll see it eventually. If we are in the same Discord server, send it there, and I'll see it sooner. You'll send it Discord? Awesome. Thanks. So, yeah. So, interestingly, LOTRO is good enough that when you are using an alternate keyboard layout, it understands. So for me, the standard WASDA is actually comma AOE, and so when you first load up LOTRO, it has sort of done the mapping, so it knows that your move forward is comma, and it knows that your turn right is E, and your backup is O. So LOTRO does a really good job there. Where it does less of a good job is in things like Control-C and Control-V for copy and paste. It does not use those mappings. It's looking for those specific. Anyway, it's a weird hybrid, but LOTRO does better than some programs, so I can't complain there. So, in your options, if you have a key binding and you press that key, plugins will know about it. And if you can separate out the meaning of that key from what you want it to do in a plugin, if you can say, if you have an all bag, check here and enable suddenly 5 custom key combinations that you can use to direct a plugin's behavior. There's some more besides that, but these are some really obvious ones, right? Same thing, if you don't use some of your skill bars and you're writing a plugin, maybe you could redirect, and now that's suddenly 12 or 24 key bindings. But the problem is if you do have skills there, you'll trigger them. If you have things in these bars, you'll trigger them. So you'd have to have them completely empty. And so there's trickiness because some people do use those. Let's see. Oh, wow. There's a possibility to have a keyboard shortcut for tracking nearby quests. Neat. You put on a meme. Awesome, thanks. So, Aaron Bard, it is possible for a plugin to respond to a specific key, but that key has to be doing something else at the same time. You're just eavesdropping and say, aha, you pressed bag 2. Okay, I'll do this other thing. So that's the first limitation, is by default, plugins can't pay attention to key bindings that are separate from an actual thing in the game. You can't just say, when I press the Control P, I just want this plugin to know about it. That's right out. But you can say, when I press Control P, I want the game to think that's bag 6, and since I don't have a bag 6, it'll do nothing but the plugin will respond to it. Cool. So you can go through that. Second thing, can you raise things up? Yes, a plugin can specify that I want this thing to be visible and above everything else. So a plugin can do that with its own windows. It is possible, though not very friendly, I think, to go messing with other plugins that are running in your current apartment. But apartments are set up before the plugin is loaded, and so there's no apartment hopping. I do not think it is possible to affect another plugin in another apartment at all, but I haven't tested this. And so if you had a bunch of plugins in the same apartment, either because it's the same author or they don't have an apartment, so they're in the global apartment, they could potentially go tell another window, hey, make yourself visible, or hey, this button, bring yourself to the top. But I'd be very hesitant to try to write such a thing myself. I think I'd be more likely to want to interoperate with other plugins. And so I would say, hey, if you see the following message in the standard chat, plugins, make yourself visible, or whatever, then do something sensible yourself. And those plugins can make themselves visible, bring themselves to the top, whatever. And then when you press your thing, all it does is spits out that message into chat, and then each plugin can be responsible for itself. I think that'd be a nicer way of doing it, because there could be reasons that a plugin does not want to do the thing that you're trying to make it do. So I guess I would say there might be some technical possibility to affecting other plugins like that. Maybe. I haven't tried it. I would be reluctant to do so. And so best bet, have your keyboard shortcuts handy. You can bind keyboard shortcuts. So for instance, let me get rid of that. If I wanted to bind /poetical show to a keyboard shortcut, you can do that with shortcuts. And so let me pull this down here. So if I were to say shortcut, I will get an output over in standard, and it says usage, shortcut location, text string. Okay, so shortcut, I want it to go in the upper left button here. What number is that? Because that's the location. Well, the very first one is 1 through 12, 13 through 24, 25 through 36, 37 through 48, 49 through 60, 61. Okay, cool. We're in location 61, and I want it to be /poetical show. Awesome. So now this is an alias that will do /poetical show whenever I click it, or whenever I do whatever key binding I have decided to set for that. So what you can do is just set up 2 of these, and you could do the same thing with, that was poetical, so the other one was songbook, right? So let's do a shortcut to 63 for songbook show. And now I can set keyboard shortcuts to /poetical show /songbook show. And that will just send that out into chat. So command, so that is /shortcut, shortcut number, and then what is it? Text string. So I went ahead and put that into the Twitch chat as well. I'd recommend playing around with it. I don't actually know what happens if you try to create a shortcut on top of something that's already there. Here, let's find out. Looks like at least if it's like this, it'll replace it. If it's a shortcut on a shortcut, presumably it would just replace whatever's there, no matter what it is. So be a little careful, be cautious. Remember what your layout is. Maybe take a screenshot before you start doing this. But once these are here, they're saved when you log off. They should persist even if you log in on a different computer. It should be there. It's just the keyboard shortcut for the location as a specific file on your computer. So I would recommend playing around with that as well. Have your keyboard shortcuts as a backup maybe, but go ahead and bind them to the location, especially if you have like an alternate social bar or something where you have a lot of just the stuff that you use for social events but not for adventuring in the world. Stick it there. And if you're about to perform, maybe those are shortcuts 1 and 2 on your main bar. Maybe it's not fishing. Maybe you move that out of the way and just make shortcuts for the plugin commands that you need. Lord Zach, when you get a new PC and you lose all your in-game shortcuts, well, don't do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a shortcut for 61 for /LOC because we're going to be using that a fair amount in the not too distant future. All right, everybody, thanks for the lovely question and digression into what is possible. I think there's actually a lot of untapped potential in these less often used things like bags 2 through 6. At least less often for some players. I know there's a lot of players out there who like having multiple bags. I prefer the all bag. Even if I have fewer slots, I prefer the all bag. But I know there's some people who just really don't like the auto sort, don't like having an all bag. That's fine. But if you do just have an all bag, that suddenly opens up 5 precious keyboard shortcuts that plugins could take advantage of. And I find that fascinating. Okay, so where are we? We're going to go ahead and look at making a control. So we're in our libraries folder. We're going to go ahead and add a new file, and that is going to be a mapcontrol.lua. Very helpful, says Aaron Bard. Awesome. So, how do we make a class? Let's just revisit our definition. The name of it equals class, and then the thing that you are subclassing. Cool. So mapcontrol equals, equals class, and that's a turbine.ui.control. Perfect. And we do want to make sure we make a constructor. So it's going to look like this, but it'll go ahead and have the name of where we are. And in that constructor, we want to make sure we call the base class constructor. You're going to have weirdness if you don't do that. Okay, that's kind of the bare minimum that we need. Now, anytime you make a map control, not a map control. Anytime you make a map control now, it will act exactly like a normal control because it has no differences. Hello, Kato. You gonna come over on my desk?
Just read all that box.
Perhaps not. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not even sure she'd be visible. I should make this thing vertical. Okay. So just to, actually, let's go ahead and say set back color. We're going to do a turbine.ui.color and just something distinct. I don't know. What have we not used recently? Dark salmon. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and insert that into the quest window. So create quest, load quest, dress up, awesome. So let's go ahead and see if we can't go ahead and local map control equals map control and map control set parent to the dress up area. And that's it. Let's go ahead and get that thing in the game. So we're going to go to the plugin manager, unload, reload. There was a syntax error. Awesome. Attempt to call global map control. Well, I sure didn't include that file, did I? So we're going to want to go ahead and import libraries.mapcontrol.lua. And one thing that is true is in here, because we're in the libraries directory, that's going to affect where we are in the namespace. And so we can bypass that by just saying global map control equals map control. Okay, now what do we have? Unable to resolve it. Fantastic. Main.24. What did I mistype? Go ahead, import. Of course, you don't type the .lua part. That would be foolishness. Okay. So, typing /Hytbold. In fact, shortcut space 63 slash Hytbold. And now we can just click this to show and hide it. Okay. Now we can see that dark salmon colored control exists. Awesome. Though Zach, on the face of it, I can't actually tell what that image is. Jamming. Okay. Nice. So we have the ability to instantiate the control. Awesome. And then if we come on in to quest control, let's go ahead and map control set position. And we want that to be just to the right of the dress up area. Let's see. That was the max width. So we're setting the max width and 0. And then we're going to go ahead and map control set size. And we'll just start with something simple like 250. Yeah, maybe make it 200, 100. Okay, so we can see we shoved it over and we've started to expand it out. Awesome. Okay, that's the very basics, right? We have a thing that is called map control, but functionally is just a control. Let's start building. Okay, something we haven't played around with is the idea of making the map resizable. That's probably harder than we want it to be. Might be easier if we just say it will be this size. Now, those widths and height could come in with the constructor. Just looking, what else do we have here? We have we save off the map center X and Y. I wonder why we do that. For rotating the map, I think we're not going to be rotating the map, so we don't need to worry about that. The left and right border. Right, that's for where it is within because it's a combination of a control and a window, it was more complicated than it needed to be. We're going to be simplifying these things. Okay, let's go ahead and pass in the width and the height. So we can go ahead and say self.width equals width. Actually, I don't even think we need to save that off right now. Self set size width height. Okay. So the things we care about are these maps. Do I remember why I had it as a window? I think there was something about rotation in there. I think we're going to hold off on making it a window and make it a map instead. Oh, but do we need to have it be in a subcontrol? Okay, parent, we set its position, we set the size, background, also visible. I think we can do that in self. Let's try doing it in self. Self dot set background. And we're going to set it to an image. And we don't actually have that image, so let's pass it in. Okay. What else did we want to pull over here? From set background, set mouse visible. That is true. We don't actually want you clicking on the map. We don't need you to be clicking on the map. So don't pay attention to the mouse. Fascinating. We're not going to be doing rotations. In this simplified library at this point, but that's a really nice comment to pull in if we ever do. And Okay, we can see here we're re-implementing the get size of image that we had to do over in, where did we even do that? We did that in the carousel. Let's see, get image size. We just made a throwaway image. We set the background, we set the stretch mode, and then we get the size. This doesn't actually feel like it belongs in the carousel. We really need to put that into the generalized functions. So let's go ahead and hoist that out. And we're going to remove it from being within the carousel. And now anyone can call it. Okay. And then image carousel, anywhere we're calling get image size, we don't want to dispatch that to self. We just want to call the global get image size instead. And we can delete it from here. Okay, awesome. In fact, that's a nice little change to do in and of itself. So refactored get image size to general functions. Really, it's just moved that to general functions. All right, so general functions gets it added, and then we remove it from here. Lovely. Okay. Now the image's map point, we need that map point. That's the red arrow from the map and the radar. Awesome. Let's go ahead and save that off locally, self.mapPoint. It could be useful to allow a customization of that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and just save that off. Okay, so this is making the map point. Let's go ahead and start thinking about the size of that image. This is, how wide is that? That's the quest win. Where are we? Nope, nope, nope. Awesome. So that's already 200 wide. What does it look like if it's 400 wide? Hard to say, but probably too big. 350, it's about that wide. Okay, so let's start by saying 350. And what does that look like? Coming into the wrong directory. Documents, Lord of the Rings Online, plugins, LOTRO plugins, and we're in Hytbold. So the resources, that map that we're looking at, okay, just to know, that's 800 by 600. We would like it to be a different size. We can resize it in the game. We can also just make a smaller version of it. For that matter, we can truncate this because we don't really need all of that. So let's start by saying, what does 350 pixels look like? It is yay big. Slightly off. Can I get you to be 350? Yeah. And then, how big is this window? currently 640 wide. Okay. Minus whatever this is. Let's say we have like 400 wide to work with. Oh, well, we said 350. Okay, and then the height was 600. So we have 600 to work with, minus the borders and stuff. So let's say no more than 500. And we're looking, whoops, so 350. And 500. Something about this. I feel like I've messed it up then because that looks very wide. Is that really 3? I see, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Excellent. So 350 and 500. Great. I was looking at the pixel location and that was wrong. Okay, well the good news is this actually is sufficient for our purposes. We don't need the to the world instructions because why would we ever leave town? That's just crazy talk. We don't need the full banner of Harwick, pretty though it is, and that contains the location of all the boxes. In fact, it's more than big enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crop this image to the selection and use that instead. We're going to go ahead and export that. Let me just check the image canvas size. 350, no, not 351. There we go. Layer, crop to selection. Layered image size. There we go. Export as, and we're going to export that as the Harwick map. Perfect. So if we've done our job correctly, this does not need scaling, and it's going to fit in our window just fine. Oh, cool. There's kinship chat, and I'm missing it all. That's okay. Okay, so what we want to do is go ahead and load in that image here. Nope, wrong window. There we go. Okay, so first of all, let's go on into our images. And in dress up, we need the map. And that's going to equal, nope, it's not actually going to be a table. It's going to equal dress up dir, and whatever heck I called this thing, Harwick map. Okay, that's our map, and we want to pass that to the map control. Remembering that we said map control was going to take the image as the third parameter. So we're going to go ahead and make a new map control that is 350 by 500 and take images dot whatever we are. Quests dress up. Okay. Dot quests dress up. Oh, our neighbor is watering their plants that are on the fence, and our side of the fence is getting wet. Fantastic. Thanks for the free water. Map. Yes, yes. Okay. So run out of first water. It's time for second water. So we have a control. It's taking its width and height as part of the initial construction, which I think makes sense because we're also taking an image. The other option is to just use that get image or get width and height information of the image and scale ourselves to that. That actually makes me happier. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. We're going to go ahead and say that the map control is responsible for checking out the size of that thing. So first of all, local size equals get image size of the map image. We're going to go ahead and rename that map image. Let's see, get image size, returns get size, awesome. So we're, nope, wrong key. So we're actually going to go say local width height equals that and split that combination return apart. And set background image, we got to update that name to map image. All right, let's give that a try. Hey, the size is correct. What's going on? Well, we set the back color. Let's not set the back color for a minute. There we go. Okay. Apparently, having both the back color and the image are incompatible. Good to know. Cool. We have our Harwick image. But we don't. What's going on with that height? What's going on with that? Harwick image. Canvas size. It's 350 by 500. But the actual area of the blue thing is less than that. So let's take a look. What's blue? That's the quest control. Quest control has a size of this. Let's figure out how big that is. Turbine.shell.writeLine quest control height equals, and we'll just concatenate in quest control get height. Okay, we can see we only had 518 pixels to work with here, but that should have been enough. Image, canvas size. The height's 500. So what's going on here? Let's shrink this down a little bit. This is what we should be seeing. We can see that we start at the top just fine. On the right side, everything's good. On the left side, everything's good. On the bottom, we're missing some pixels. That suggests to us that there's more pixels that would be on this window, except we're not seeing them. So the quest control is, okay, create quest area. Let's just do an experiment and change the size of the total window. Okay, that is not working. Probably because we're calling set height somewhere along the way. There we go. So what is the actual height that we're setting then? Turbine.shell.writeLine. And this thing's height . All right, let's see that. Okay, we can see we shrunk it down to 513 total. And that will not be enough. So let's go ahead and really, the code that is adjusting the parent window size should probably not be in the construction of this here right now, but I'm not too worried about it. Let's just go ahead and bump it up a little bit. Okay, so quest control height, set size, update quest control size. Right, Zach, you're telling a story with your emotes. I just don't know what it is. All right, I'm wrong. Making that function is going to be more trouble than it's worth. But we we know that the quest control height is in question here. Okay, so we're setting the height to height. I think I see what our problem is. We are parenting ourselves to the quest. Well, the dress-up area is going in the main window, but it really feels like... When you think you've made it incorrectly, but you're not sure how to fix it. Lord Zach asks, why is there a square on line 49? Is it a preview of the color? Yes, that's something that Lunar Water put into the LOTRO API extension. If you have a turbine.ui.color, it'll go ahead and show you what it is, and also let you change it. So if I wanted to go ahead and make it more transparent, it'll go ahead and do that. If I want to go ahead and change the hue, it'll go ahead and do that as well. And you can see how the border behind the text is changing to match. And then it'll just update those values. Or you can come in and be like, nope, I want to change it in this manner. And you can do that. So it's an interactive way to both see what the color is and change it in a more intuitive manner than tweaking at numbers. Quite fond of it. I think Lunar Water did a great job with that. Good question. Okay, so the dress-up area isn't big enough. That's the problem. And so what we just need to do is to say the dress-up area height. If height is less than 500, then height equals 500 end, and the dress-up area goes to height. That's all we need. But we need to document why we're doing this. For now, make sure it's big enough for the hard-coded map size. Okay, so if we do that and load this back in, we can see, cool, our height issue is resolved. Now, eventually we might want to make this scalable, or at least, pass in an image and have it scale it to whatever size we say. But for now, we're just doing a fixed image size. It'll just make life much easier. Okay. Neat. Back to the map control. We need to go ahead and support where you are, because we want to hit /LOC and see that on the map. And for that, we need a couple of things. We need to say where, we need corner points that allow us to say basically where the pixels are in game. Let's see how we do that, or if we do that. Where do we have these details? So many rotation things. Move map point. Cool, where's that getting called from? Standard chat map message. Okay. So we get the maze map parse chat locations. And then pixels from coordinates. There we go. So this is a hard-coded table or set of values, and we need that to not be hard-coded. And so what we need is for that to come in. So that's going to be corner points, and that's going to be a table. In fact, we can start doing some documentation here. Construct the map control with the specified image and corner points. Okay, so param, that's going to be map image, and that is going to be a any. Really, it's going to be a string or a number. So I guess the real question is, when we say set background, what is it going to take? And it takes an any. That's fine. The image to use as the map can be anything valid to pass to control set background. Okay. And then we also have param, and that's going to be the corner points, and that's going to be a table. A table with entries for in the code we had west, north, east, south, but I feel like it's a little bit more intuitive to have left, top, bottom, left, right. Except that we really are trying to say, you know, west and north. We're not, and I feel like top and left are like pixel concepts. Okay, we'll do it west, north, east, and south. In AG west equals, and we'll go ahead and give this. So we're looking for those in-game coordinates that are going to be converted into what we're looking for. And we just want to save those off for right now. So self.corner points equals corner points. And we'll come back to those. Okay. So we're going to hoist a lot of this functionality just directly. Okay, we already have a chat logger, and we have a filter standard. So what we want to do is, in our map control, we want to have a way to be told about this. So function map control handle standard chat message. So we want this to be called by the external entity whenever. And the problem is plugins can do single dispatch or multiple dispatch for events, and they're not compatible. And so since any plugin can choose one way or the other, kind of best to not worry about that for right now. Okay, but since we're copying that format, we can go ahead and say, let's hoist it. Okay, so anywhere where we had this variable, we're going to substitute in self. And then we need these three functions for it to work. So this is all going to be in a section. Handle/LOC with on-screen arrow. So we need, this is handling the chat message. We need to be able to parse that chat location. Well, this is just copy-paste. Except we're going to go ahead and make it part of the map control and dispatch that to self. Maze map part. And anytime when we have maze map, we need to go ahead and fix that. So, maze, it is amazing, but cool. We need pixels from coords. Okay. So we don't need to pass in the chords. That would be silly. Oh, we do need to pass in the chords. Sorry, we don't need it. We don't need these, but we actually. Let's see. Those are going to be replaced with self.corner points. So local west equals self.corner points west. And this needs to be in map control. Okay. And then we can do the same for north and east and south. Cool. And then same thing, we need, so we saved off width and height. Was that necessary, or just call get width? I don't know. I think we're not going to save it off. We're going to assume that calling get is pretty cheap. So self get width. Oh, we couldn't do that easily because that wasn't the control. Okay. Get height. Okay, so chords. Yep. Oh, yeah, there's a cat sitting up there. I wonder if we can do something about that. Actually, this is a new camera, and I don't know all the things we can do with it. But there's a way to expand the field of view somehow. Let's see. Dell Peripheral Manager? Sure, why not? Go to the other screen. There we go. Camera control. Alright, so the first question is, what's the field of view like? And can I get a cat in the view? Sure.
Yes.
Just slightly. I think, all right. Hey, Casper. You're on camera. Okay. We'll bring it a little bit over. Okay. Good enough. Okay, and what does that look like if I set it back to a small frame field of view? Not enough. Okay. Cool. So we have genericized a bit this pixels from coordinates. So you take in the coordinates, and it requires having the corner points for whatever this map is, but that was passed in during the construction of this control. So that's sort of a mandatory thing. And then from that, we can go ahead and do the math, and that is the pixels from coordinates that we needed. Okay. What's to num? Well, we don't have that. So let's go ahead and pull in the toNum function. And really this is just a it says getting the cats on stream is a top priority. I agree. What we need is to not require any sort of a global variable. And so what we need is to go on back to the API and to say, hey, what's the get language? All right, so get language. And that's going to return a number. Awesome. Which is going to be one of this enumeration. So what we really want is if turbine.engine.getLanguage does not equal turbine.language.english, then go ahead and swap in a comma for the period for the parsing to be correct. I think this is a correct behavior. Need to test it on French and German to be sure. Okay, so we can see that toNum. I'm just going to go ahead and do self and self. Okay, we need the localization messages. Okay, now this was hoisted out of some other plugins. I didn't derive this myself, but as far as I know, they are kind of working, and just needs to be, before this is kind of released, that this should be updated or checked for validity. Let's go ahead and just set those as part of self dot. You know what? This does not belong here. This really needs to be in its own thing. We need a new file, and this is, I don't know, I want to call it where am I, but lock parser.lua. And I think that's true about a lot of what we're doing here, is that it doesn't belong in each copy of the map. It just needs to be passed off to another thing. The question is, do we make that a class? And the answer is probably. So we're going to go ahead and say lock parser equals class turbine.ui.control. Actually, is it even a control? It's not a control. Lock parser equals a table. And we're going to say lock parser dot LOC messages equals this thing. Okay, so parse chat location comes from hand to that. Okay, so pixels from coordinates. We want to do that. Lock parser dot pixels from coordinates equals a function. And we're just going to go ahead and have that be a passed-in thing for right now. With height. Okay, so that's a standalone function. We do want to go ahead and start documenting some of this as well. So this is going to be takes coordinates and corner points from /loc and corner points for a specific map, and really width, height, and corner points for a specific map. And returns the equivalent pixels. Location. Okay, close enough. Describing things is hard. So, is the order of this reasonable? We're taking in coordinates. We're also taking in, I like the idea of it being width, height, and then corner points. So, coords, This is going to be, oh, that's a good question. What is this? It's a table. A table with a latitude and a longitude, numerical values. Okay, we're also doing width, and that's a number, the width of the corresponding map. Okay, we're doing height as well. The height. And then param corner points. That's again a table. The west, north, east, and south chord values. Now that is assuming your west, north, east, south lie on the leftmost, rightmost, topmost, and bottommost pixels of the map. If they don't, you just need to do some extra math to accommodate for them. What you're really saying is how, manually calculating. Each time we're doing this, which feels a little silly, but manually calculating how many pixels per coordinate space. Okay, but we have a pixels from coordinates, so let's go ahead and swap that in. Where did we use that? So we really just need that to be lock parser dot pixels from coordinates. And for that, we need coordinates, but we also need self get width, self get height, and self corner points. Okay. At that point, we do not use pixels from coordinates anymore. So let's get rid of that. Okay, toNum is being used in map parse chat location, and we don't need that to be here either. So let's go ahead and hoist out. So it's going to be lock parser dot equals function that takes a message. And we need those lock messages. And we need that toNum function. Let's go ahead and hoist that out. And again, same thing. We're doing the lock parser dot map control equals function toNum. Oh, sorry. Wrong thing. toNum equals function val. Okay, so that fixes that reference, and that means, again, the parse chat location, we want to go ahead and do a lock parser dot parse chat location, and we're passing in that message. At that point, this function is no longer in use, so we can kill that, which means toNum is no longer in use, and we can kill that. And that's going to separate our concerns very nicely. One thing I'm going to say, forgot to actually include a LSC parser. Sure seems like that's the kind of thing that map control should do, though. So what's an import statement look like? I don't know. Looks like this. So lock parser. Kato is behind me.
Yeah.
Hey. What you doing? No? Okay. I'm probably talking too much. Okay, so if I want you to stay off my desk, I just have to talk a lot. Got it. Okay, so we're going to keep on working with separating out these concerns here. We have a handled standard chat message. That's using LOC. So really what we want to do is say, what do we care about here? LOTRO was going to say, watch out, or she'll be up on your keyboard. That might make coding harder. Well, I wouldn't let her stay up here for too long. Or maybe I would. All right, so this is sort of a poor man's object-oriented programming where we are just creating a table called lock parser, and in that table we are storing functions and data. That's really all you're doing with classes in Lua as well. But in this case, object-oriented doesn't really make sense because we don't want to derive from anything. And so essentially we're deriving from nothing. We're just have an empty table. But within that, we have functions and we have data, so it's all kind of happening within this lock parser namespace. All right, so handle standard chat message. My problem is this is so formulaic, right? So we want to get the pixels, we want to do something. The only thing that's questionable is what does move map point do? So let's find out what we did with that before. Move map point. Okay, we're going to skip the rotated pixels. So we have X, Y, and heading. That's fine. And really this is where we're going to start dealing with the map point. So we do want to go ahead and have a map point created. So map point in the constructor. Make the arrow for where the player is. So that's going to be, again, it's listed as a window. This is probably for rotation purposes, and we are going to be doing a rotation on the map point. So we're going to go ahead and make it a window. And we'll go ahead and save it off, self.mapPoint. We already have a map point image. We're going to go ahead and name that map point image, and then we have a map point equals map point. But don't forget to parent it. Map point set parent to be self. And we need its size. So we need to go ahead and get local map point width, map point height equals get image size from the map self.map.point image. Okay, so we have the size of that thing. So map point set size, map point width, map point. I really wish, I don't think this is possible, but I wish I could just pass in the call to get image size. But I have a feeling that it decays down to the single parameter. I don't know. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but I would like to just pass in the result of get image size to set size, and have that tuple sort of sort itself out. And I feel like it didn't work the last time I tried it. Okay, we do want to set the background. Map point set background to be self map point image. Okay, let's see. Map point set stretch mode. Why are we setting stretch mode to 1? I'm not sure I understand why we're setting stretch mode to 1. Scale an image based on the size it had when stretch mode was assigned its current size. I'm not trying to scale an image. I'm going to ignore that. Map point. Oh, there was a width and a final width. Okay, I was scaling it up to a certain size for some reason. I don't know. I'm going to ignore that and possibly regret things. Note, original code scaled the map point image to 36 by 36. Duly noted. So map point set visible to false. Map point set mouse visible to false. All of that is good. And then we do want to take that blend mode, set blend mode as well. Turbine.ui.blendMode.alpha. We want that transparency to work nicely. Okay. In fact, I'm just going to start hoisting code outright. So let's copy that. So we have a decay time, that's 5 seconds. Decay delay time, seconds. Persist time equals that. Okay, seconds. Now, one might ask, why am I commenting instead of just renaming? That's a very good question. What am I doing? Seconds. Okay. Decay, delay time, seconds. That way the name of the variable will pull that information along with it even if I forget to, oops. It doesn't seem like we're using that. Even if I forget to pull that comment along, we still kind of have to know that it's in seconds now. All right, so mappoint.update. When we're doing an update, we want to go ahead and get a delta map point refresh time. Okay, that's currently nothing. So let's go ahead and initialize that. Map point dot refresh time equals 0. So IntelliSense can get a sense of it intelligently. And then we do the gradual fade out. So /LOC is only valid for a very limited amount of time, depending on how much you're moving. So we don't want to accept that it's going. We don't want it to stick around for very long. So we want it to be there for a couple seconds and then just fade away. So this is just the sample logic for what's going on. We're going to go ahead and do the set opacity, decay setting minus delta, divided by that minus that. Okay. Oh, yeah. I had named decay time seconds minus decay delay time seconds as persist time. That's okay. And if delta is greater than 5, then, or how long has it been, then we just turn off the updates and fully set us not visible. All of that's great. We're going to keep it. Okay. These are Windows-specific things, which, again, we're separating those concerns out. And then we're ready to go. We have a map point. All we need to do is say it wants updates, and then it can do that thing. In fact, we probably want to set visibility in there. Okay, so wants updates. Yeah, so in here, else map point set visible true. Okay, so we just want to say it wants updates, and then it should take care of itself. So back to the code of handle standard chat message. So my problem with this is that it's so boilerplate, but we don't do anything if we're not visible. Then we parse the coordinates, and then if the coordinates are valid, then we go ahead and convert the pixels, and then we go ahead and say move map point. So what does that function look like? Okay. We are mostly just looking at the control, the map point. It's really a window. But we also care about keeping it on the window. Do we care about that? It's kind of, I don't know if we do. That was an interesting feature where you couldn't go off, but then it's misrepresenting where your position is. So I'm not entirely sure I care about that. Let's go ahead and pull in this function. And then we have the map point, the unrotated X, unrotated Y, and the heading. What do we use the radius for? So we're going to say map point get width divided by 2. Okay, we're not dealing with rotated right now, and we're not dealing with being off the screen or off of the map. If you're off the map, maybe you shouldn't be on the map. So let's go ahead and replace those, and then we need a rotation. Okay, what does that look like? We have a rotation, and we need the map point passed in. And we can do the exact same removal of the win parent that we're not doing. We're not dealing with a rotated map. It's a lot easier if the map can't rotate. Alright, so these functions look like they can just work, and so I think I want them in they're not in the lock parser, so they're probably in the map control. So if that's the case, we're going to go ahead and say move map point and set map point rotation. And call that good. So we handle the standard chat message. We use the lock parser to first parse the message into coordinates and then get pixels from those coordinates. And then we go ahead and ourselves move the map point. And if that's the case, then we don't actually need to pass that in. So map point is just going to be self.mapPoint. Okay, and then we don't need to pass that in either. Move map point is just taking X, Y, and heading. Maybe that all works. So the real thing we need now is just to be able to handle those standard chat messages. So in our chat logger, the filter standard, we want to go ahead and do something with that. The problem is could really just use multiple dispatch. If we're not going to do multiple dispatch, for right now, just to make this work, something I keep meaning to do is look at the multiple dispatch that the turbine files have. Yeah, it's fine. But okay, so QuestWin handle standard chat message. We just want to go ahead and pass that off to the self dot, oh, not self, dress up area dot map control equals that. So we can pass this along. Now dress up area itself isn't saved off. So we can temporarily save that off. I think there's a better way to do this, but this will get us moving forward, and that's the important thing. Keep on moving forward. So we want to go ahead and say if this exists, if, and, then end. And we want to do one more, and to QuestWin dress up area dot map control, I think it was. Yep, dress up area dot map control. If all those exist, then go ahead and just tell the map control, pass that along, so, right? Handle that message, please. And if that's not all true, then it doesn't matter. So then we can just go ahead and we don't need that first one. We're going to be using it to get here. But we're going to do something very similar here. So if this, then handle that, please. Oh, of course. I kept thinking this was a class-based file, and it's not. So QuestWin. So we'll just dispatch it from there. Okay, so that should get us what we want. Okay, so lock parser 41, attempt to index local corner points. Can't do that. So we're going to go to 41, corner points is not getting passed in. So we need to find who's calling that function and why they did not update it. Okay, So here's the pixels from coords. It's coming from map control, and it is being passed in self corner points. But self corner points was never getting passed in. We need map image and corner points in the quest win. Quest win is passing in map, but we need those corner points. So that's going to be a new table. It's going to be west equals 0, north equals 0, east equals 0, and west equals 0. Pretty sure it doesn't like that I'm passing things. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, but the real question is, where are these things? So let's move around and see if we can't get ourselves to the boundaries of this map. Okay, one thing I would like to have is the precise coords. Yeah, let's see if at least we get some divide by zeros. No, did not get divide by zeros. Strange. Let's go ahead and see if we can get these coordinates. So we can see we want to be by the cluster of tents out of the eastern gate. So we're just going to come on up here, come over to the refugee camp, and we would like to nail pretty much the same. Awesome. So we're not quite there. Let's come back out. We're outside of the city, so it is popping us out, but if we click on Harwick, we can see we're still on the map. So we're just to the right of that rightmost indent of the tent. We're a little bit too far. Okay, what about that pyramidal tent? We want to be not quite there. Okay, it's going to look something like that. What's that splotch at the top of the pyramidal tent? Okay, so I'm stuck on something. There we go. Stupid campsite. Okay, I'd say that's pretty good. Like I was saying, the precise coords is just very handy for something like this. So we're going to come on in and open up the plugin compendium. Let's see if it's a part of this. Chords, precise coordinates. Thanks, Thurlor. So coming on into the game, we added or changed plugins. We want to do a refresh. Go ahead and load precise coords. Now, anytime you do a /LSC, it's going to give you coordinates to 2 degrees of precision. So we can see our east coordinate should be east-west. That's minus 51.49. But that's just east. That's just the rightmost boundary. And then we're going to just do the same thing. We're just going to run around the city and grab these values that we need. Wishing we could turn on no clip. Let's actually do the southern boundary while we're at it. So we can see that if we get just to the southern tip of this fence, we're going to be really close to where we want to be. I am seeing that we are approaching, or have already passed, the end time of my stream. So let's try to get this image showing on the map. But, you know what? Where's that Harwick map? So I'm going to try to get these coordinates in here so we can actually see our position being popped up. But that'll be kind of the end of today. So if you've got any last minute questions, comments, concerns, now's a great time to start getting those into chat so we can take a look at them before I log off for the day. Okay, that looks really good right there. So we're going to go ahead and call it there. And at that point, you're on Treebird server. We got a south of 4056. Great. So coming on in, our southbound is south minus 40.56. Perfect. We're going to go to west and north next. We can see the westmost is, we could be on the road out of town. We could just be to the west of the boundary fence here. I feel like there's a better term for that, palisade or something. Okay, there's that tower we want to be past. And you know what? There's a tree right here. Let's say it's the tree. So, nope. Coming into Harwick. And we want to see... Okay, we're in the shrubbery. Excellent. Okay, as it comes on down, that meets up with something going up. So we would be just about here. All right, so that's our westmost bound. And we can see west is therefore minus 53.28. And all we need now is the north. Let's head on up here. Now we're actually going to go past the racetrack here. So let's come on in so we can go through town. Okay, so there's our tower there. We're going to go out past it. And what we really want to do is, I think, be right at the top of the pennant. So, just to start us here, we really want to be about there. Yeah. Cool. That'll be fine for this purpose. And that gives us a north. We're in the south still, so minus 38.01. Okay. So let's start with that. Let's come on in. Invite a kin alt. Let's go ahead and unload, and we're going to reload the Hytbold Assistant. And what we can see now is fantastic. We deleted some fixing of the rotation, and we do need to go back in and fix that. Because you can see when we're facing south, it's west. West. When we face west, it is south. When we go north, it's east. And when we go east, it's north. So we're rotating in the opposite direction. We can see the fading out. It's working great, though. So rotation. Nope, map control. Rotation. For the heading, local relative heading equals minus heading. So we'll start with that because we're rotating in the wrong direction. We'll kind of deduce what's going on here. Okay, so we're facing east, we're going east. No, okay. Facing north, we're east. Facing east, we're south. Facing south, we're west. Facing west, we're north. Facing north, we're east. Great. So we just need the value to be different. Okay, new person in the kinship, but it's just an alt. Maybe. Yes. Yeah. Guess they're just being slow. Okay. So what we want to do is adjust this. Now the rotation seems to be off by 90 in that direction. So what happens if we say minus 90? It went in the wrong direction. What if we say plus 90? Okay, now we can see that our rotation is matching. And we can see that our location in the map seems to be pretty good. Now I'm just continually pressing my keybind, or in this case mouse button bind, to refresh the location. So I feel like I should be on the crossroads. I am on the crossroads. Beautiful. Another crossroads. Awesome. Coming up here to the entrance to the cane house, or mead hall, I should say. Awesome. So all of this looks great. The positioning is close enough for our purposes. And this is why I really like precise chords. Precise chords truncates to 2 significant figures. That's really enough for even for a town of Hytbold size, but that's an arbitrary truncation. You can get 3 or 4 decimal digits of precision, but on the global, your 1-digit decimal digit of precision is really enough to find a cave or something. When you're working in town, having that extra is really nice. So let's go ahead and load precise chords up. So if I'm standing here, I have 39.84. If I just take a step to the right, nothing changed. But if I take another step, cool, now we're at 7.1. Another step, no. Another couple steps, yes. So it's not down to the 1 foot precision kind of thing. Like if you step to the side, 2 decimal digits isn't enough to detect that. So if you're looking for capturing the bounds of a small area, and Harwick's like the smallest I'd feel comfortable with 2 digits of precision. If you're doing a smaller map than that, I'd really want to step that up to 3 or more. Because there's no harm in it. Like it's just decimal digits. It's fine. In fact, that's easy enough to control. I assume that precise chords doesn't have an options, but we could go in there and change the rounding that it's doing. Okay. In fact, it's doing something like this part chat location, where we're getting longitude of X, longitude Y, and heading, and it's just rounding the output of that before it spits it out to 2 decimal digits. But it's close enough for what we're doing with. Our arrow is appearing in a great location. I am concerned that the initial time it shows up, it's not rotated, probably because that check for is it visible. So that is visible isn't right, because we're checking for is visible here. So move map point. If we're moving the map point, we need to go ahead and set this thing to be visible. So self.mapPoint set visible to true. At that point, we don't need to check for it here. In the set map rotation, just rotation of arrow visible. We can move that into the function comment in a little bit. At that point, we should expect that the rotation is correct from the very start. We'll let that phase out. The next time, the rotation is correct from the very start. Awesome. Oh, I just get thrilled when I see a map coming together like this. And we're sort of starting from first, well, not quite first principles. We're lifting a lot of the location parsing code, but yeah, we're making a map that will eventually be kind of interactive, kind of from scratch. And it's really, really nice to just see that working. Okay, I don't know why we were scaling that 36 by 36, but I'm very happy with the size of that arrow on the map. I don't think it's going to get in the way of things too much. Okay. Awesome. So we set the rotation, we set the position, we let it phase out. Mediocre Bard says, it's very cool to see this happen live, so thanks for sharing the process. You're very welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us. Okay, so we have the setting rotation, we have the moving the map point, we have the handle standard chat message. This is kind of boilerplate, but we only need to write it once for the map control, so I'm happy to leave it here. We've separated out the location stuff from the map stuff. And we do need to go ahead and get our function comments going for documentation, but that'll probably be a next time thing, or a, yeah, that's a future me problem. The future me can be like, hey, look, it's that bridge I said I'd cross. Okay, so let's go look at our to-do list. So make this all in a library class control so we can stop duplicating the effort. Done. Show the Hardwick map. Done. Respond to /LC to know where we are. Done. That was exactly what I was hoping to get done today. So what we're going to do next time was we're going to pick up, now that we have a way to show things on the map based off of their in-game /coordinates, is we're going to go around to these crates. Here's one here. And we're just going to use that precise location thing. In fact, I might go ahead and get 3 digits of precision for the crates themselves. But we do a /LOC, just like this. I've unloaded all my plugins, apparently. Yep, there we go. So we'll do a /LOC, we'll get the precise location, and we'll go ahead and save these 18 crates off. But we're going to do it in a nested table, because we want to have the table of locations, but then the locations for each thing, shoulder or helmet or whatnot. And so when you're looking at the coordinates for helmets, you can separate them out. So that way we can toggle on and off based on the type, or color them based on the type, as we talked about. So we're going to have the 18 crate locations. We're going to then create a dot that we can put them on. I really like the dot that's over on the wiki, so we'll probably borrow that as and make a TGA out of it as a starting point. And if we like that, maybe there's something in game that we can use instead. And then after they're on the map, we'll also make sure that each one of those controls that we place on the map, that we can respond to the click. So we'll have a custom click handler on each of those controls. And so we're getting really close to the ability of go ahead and documenting what the dress-up model is. We can see it's changed from the beginning of the stream. Document what it is, and then run around, and as we get those effects from interacting with the crates. And if you didn't know, that's how the game tracks this. So if we go get these gloves here, we're going to get an effect for one of the 3 types of gloves. So we now have, the Gloves of the Winter effect. It only lasts for 5 minutes, so that's another concern if you're doing this, is you can't just take forever doing this. These will start dropping off after 5 minutes. But a plugin can see that this effect was added, Gloves of the Winter. It can see if it's removed too. So Gloves of the Winter, when that's added, we can react to that, and we can know if that's what we were looking for or not, if we write the code for it. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think we have reached the end of what we're doing here today. What do you think, Casper? Yeah? Casper is uninterested. Okay, so I think that's everything we're going to cover today. Thank you all so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.